I know you like that.
How long you been back, man?
I see the girls in the club, they getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me. These rap cats, man, they all got this style from me. And if I ever see them, man, they probably bow to me. And when this beat drop, I know they gon' lean. World debut, I know they gon' fiend. Everything Mississippi to the Palm Springs. Girls from brunettes down to blonde queens. These young boys don't know what a Don mean. I'm just a bad boy gone clean.
Hello and welcome back. Hopefully, if you're watching this on YouTube, it hasn't been taken down. I thought I'd have a little bit of fun on the Return of the Pursuit and do a little B-roll, listening to the Mase song, Welcome Back. Since this is me welcoming you back to the pursuit and welcoming myself back to the pursuit, have a little fun. But I know that sometimes songs get taken down. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you're going to miss out on that. So you need to go over to YouTube, check out the channel. It's under my name, Justin Castelli, and at least watch the B-roll coming in because I was having fun, feeling myself on a real good level today, Friday, which is the 19th, getting ready to bring this podcast show back. So first and foremost, again, welcome back to the pursuit. This has been something that I've missed, but it was something I had to put on pause as I went through my personal pursuit. So I thought on this episode, we would kind of revisit the reason for the show, why I started it, what I hope to get from it, what I hope you get from it, level set where we're at, and then share some of the things that I have learned and realized while I've been away. So it hasn't been an instance where I've been away not thinking about you and the show, but I've been away accumulating this information, this knowledge, these experiences to bring back to pursuit. And I did something I don't usually do. So again, podcast listeners, you're going to miss, but I took notes. I have about 5 pages of thoughts. I didn't script. I never script. 5 pages of thoughts that I want to share with you to bring this episode back. So we've already gone through the welcome back. We've gone through been busy. Everybody's been busy. But I want to give you a quick update of what I've been doing. So since the last episode, a lot has happened. I had already joined OnRamp Invest when I put the show on hiatus. That was the main reason why. Really, it was just a time thing. I hadn't figured out my schedule, finding that balance between RLS, the AGC, OnRamp, and most importantly, my family, and then looping in this. And it was getting hard for me to find the time on Friday or Thursday nights to record. And honestly, sometimes I just was so exhausted I didn't have the energy to record. And I didn't think that was fair. So that was the reason for the pause. Time's gone by. At OnRamp Invest, I started in a marketing role. I have been elevated to a chief of staff role, which is really exciting. I get to work very closely with my good friend, damn near a brother, Tyrone Ross, who's the CEO. I get to work with the whole team at OnRamp. I still get to do some of the marketing things I love. I still get to engage with advisors, but it's really, really exciting. And since we last talked, we've launched our product. We have advisors on the platform. Our team has grown. We're in our Series A funding, and I'm learning a lot about startup and also a lot about crypto. And I think some of that crypto may find its way into these conversations as well, just naturally over time. So OnRamp Invest is thriving. It is very busy. It's very exciting. It's organized chaos, which I thrive in, and something that's been a lot of fun. Here at RLS Wealth, my primary profession, the foundation of what it is that I've built over the last 17 years, I made a big decision to pause taking on new clients because I looked at my time and the ability to serve the clients that I have and do a good job, and also do a good job for any new clients I might take on, and realized with everything I was doing that I could not take on new clients and pursue the things I'm most passionate about. Now, one of the things that's very important, and I've told my clients this numerous times, is that I don't ever want to give up the relationships that I have. I love being a financial advisor. I love the clients that I work with. They're not even clients at this point. They're friends and family members, extended family members. So there was no way I was going to sell my business and go work at OnRamp or do anything else. No matter what I do along my pursuit, whatever endeavors I take on, RLS will always be the foundation. It will always be there, and it will always be first. So I stopped taking on new clients, continue to work with the clients that I have. And if you remember, there was another advisor who was on All About Your Benjamins and in the content from time to time, Thomas Kopelman. And what ended up happening was I had to have a tough conversation with him. And there's a podcast coming out on my other podcast, The Advisor of Tomorrow, that kind of walks through this whole part of this journey. But ultimately decided that I couldn't help him be the advisor he is going to be and do all the things I was doing. And I don't do confrontation very well, but I had to have a conversation with him, sharing my vision of where I wanted to go, what RLS Wealth would look like, and what that meant for him. And ultimately, the decision was we had to find a new home. And what I had hoped would be is that he would start his own company. And that's exactly what happened. So on September 1st, All Street Wealth launched. He partnered with a friend of ours, Trey DeVore, and they're doing a great job with their business. It's a perfect team, and they're thriving already in just a couple months. Then the cool thing, if you go to the other podcast, The Advisor of Tomorrow, which I'll link to when that's all ready, we took about 2.5 months to plan for Thomas to be able to go out on his own. So Darlene, the Director of Operations here at RLS Wealth, she helped build the infrastructure, the workflows, the technology we were using, we made sure they had. So when Thomas launched, there was no hiccup for his clients. His business continued going. The very first day of September, his client signed some paperwork, moved things over, and it's been seamless. And I'm really proud of that, which is why we did the podcast, because that's not normal in our profession. But I realized, again, going back to my personal pursuit and what it is that I want to do, I had to make some changes to RLS Wealth. I couldn't keep growing the firm and have the freedom and flexibility I needed to pursue on-ramp and continue doing the AGC as well. AGC is thriving and growing. We hired a community manager who's helping Taylor Schulte and I run it. The community is growing. The community is amazing, and that's a very cool thing to watch. So that is still going on as well. And I've also been exploring my creative side over the last couple of months, really getting into trying to figure out sketching and drawing and communicating through art, through illustration. I'll never be a great artist, but I just have this desire to create, and also really have a desire to get into photography and learning how to take photos. So some of my passion stuff that I'm doing on the side is in this creative realm that I didn't grow up with, which is interesting, and I'm exciting to explore. One of the reasons I want to get back to creating the podcast as well, that's another extension of art, just in a different form. So creating the podcast, getting back to writing more, exploring these illustrative desires that I have, the photography desires, and one day, mark my words, I'm putting it out there, I will be exploring music. I'm going to learn one day how to produce music. It's something I've always wanted to do. It is along on my pursuit. I just don't know when, but it's a part of this creative side that I've just discovered, so I've been exploring that as well. And finally, I launched a clothing brand called a lifestyle brand, is the ultimate goal, called Pursuit, tied to this podcast, tied to the overall brand of RLS Wealth, but really a clothing brand, and maybe it'll expand, designed for people who are pursuing their passions, finding their purpose, all the things we talk about on this podcast. I wanted to create something for those individuals that allowed them to express themselves, and basically took the RLS Wealth logo, the logo on my hat, if you're watching on YouTube, to make the Pursuit logo and kind of connect the two together. And ultimately hoping that one day those Pursuit customers might become RLS clients, which is not the case anymore. But I really want to see if I can make this brand grow over time. The goal for today on this brand of Pursuit is just to establish a very, very minimal baseline. Have some shirts, some sweatshirts. It's on my website. Passively sell it. Figure out how I can grow the brand. And then one day actually pour some energy into it and try to make it something that is really meaningful. But I got to start somewhere. It's more of a passion side project. It doesn't take very much time. It allows me to, again, express some creativity, have a little bit of fun. And then one day I will turn this into a brand. It's not going to be the next Nike. It's not going to be the next Under Armour, a major brand out there. But I envision, and I'm going to make it a respectable lifestyle brand for those people who share the same thoughts and desires that you, the listener of the Pursuit, have. So be sure to check that out and follow along with that journey. All right, so that's a quick update. Well, the final update is the family side. Family has been a big part of it. It's been great. I'm coaching basketball for Roman's team. I got kind of forced into that, but I think it's going to be a great experience. We boys had soccer. My wife's store is doing very well. We just live a very, very active and busy lifestyle, but it's great. So family has remained center of everything, and that's been something that's very important. Again, another reason for the hiatus from the Pursuit was to make sure that I was not sacrificing family time. Now, I will be honest with you. I have sacrificed my personal health over the last 6 months, and that's something I'm working on right now, and will probably find its way into the podcast as well in the future. But in order to make all these things, I would never sacrifice my family. I would never sacrifice my clients. I didn't want to sacrifice the team at OnRamp, which meant that I was sacrificing my health, not working out the way I want to, not eating the way I should be. My sleep hasn't been very, very good. I realized it, and I'm addressing it, and I will share how I address it, what I've learned on it as well. So if you're going through this, you know, A, you're not alone, and here are some ways to start to figure it out. But I will not be saying the same thing to you in another 6 months or 3 months. I will have it all fixed. All right, so that's the quick update. Let's do a level set of just reminding you of what the Pursuit podcast is all about and why it's under the All About Your Benjamins umbrella. I didn't want to start another podcast show on its own or another podcast on its own. What I wanted to do is put this under the All About Your Benjamins umbrella because it still falls within what that brand is. All About Your Benjamins is just that. It's all about your personal finances, how you make it your own, and it's begun to move down this direction of passions and pursuit and purpose and all of those things I always talk about, and how do we bring those things together. So I felt this was good under All About Your Benjamins. I don't know when the All About Your Benjamins interview style podcast will come back. It'll come back with time. But for right now, Pursuit is going to run, but I'm going to keep it under the All About Your Benjamins brand. And eventually there will be multiple shows that show up under All About Your Benjamins. So just kind of explain why there's the two shows, if you will, the interview show where we talk to investment professionals or other things with financial planning focus, and then the Pursuit, which is really what I'm most excited about. We're going to be talking about Pursuit on here, obviously passion and purpose, how we align those, how we pursue those. I'll have some interviews with some other people who are doing this themselves or had experiences, just to make sure it's not always me telling you, that there's other people out there who are doing the same thing, and let you learn from their experiences. We'll be talking about manifestation, how we can have more control over our outcomes. This is something I've learned a lot about, just firsthand experience, but then also talking to other people. But manifesting what we want, what that means, how we go about doing it. And it's not as simple as just saying, I want this and therefore it happens. It's much deeper, and there's a lot of hard work, but that'll find its way in there. Occasionally we'll talk a little bit about finances, how it ties in. That'll kind of be an afterthought on an episode. We talk about some things, and here's how we make sure we include this in our financial planning. I am an advisor at heart. I'm an advisor first, so we need to make sure we bring finance into these conversations. And then the final thing is, expect this every Friday. So it's 9:45 a.m. We are about 10 minutes into this episode. I will be recording these every Friday at 9, immediately editing them, which is not very much. Intro, outro, upload, push to the podcast. So we'll be out Friday mornings on the podcast. My video editor, I'll send the video to Friday afternoon, and we'll have those out every Wednesday. We were shooting for Tuesday, but we know Wednesday we can make happen. So every Wednesday this will show up on YouTube. And again, there might be some unique things on the YouTube version you don't get to hear on the podcast, so you might want to check out both. All right, so that's it. So that's the level set. So let's get to what I'm really excited to talk about today. When we've talked about this before on the show, and it's kind of signs guiding you along your pursuit. And what I've learned, and I want people to realize, is that it's when you've aligned things, you've got your purpose and your passions aligned with your heart and what you're thinking about, that when you're on that wavelength, you start to get signs from, and this is where you can choose how you want to define it. I say universe, it could be divine intervention, it could be God, it could be higher beings, whatever you want to say, but regardless of your belief system, this happens. It's just where you believe it's coming from that may be different from somebody else. But signs will be coming to you to let you know you're on the right path. Or maybe that you need to experiment something else or pursue a different path. But signs will reveal themselves to you to help you along your path. You just need to be aware of them. And I look back over life, and I've had a lot of signs that probably were in front of me, and in the moment I didn't realize it. And when I look back, I can now see it. But what has happened over the last year, and really over the last 6 months, is I'm seeing these signs in the present moment. So rather than looking back and saying, oh, that's so obvious, that was a sign telling me I should do that, I'm catching them right when they happen. They present themselves, and then boom, I'm seeing it, and I don't have to wait. And that's very, very powerful because it's helping me on my pursuit. It's helping me continue down the path, giving me the confirmation that I need, that I'm going in the right direction, or telling me that, hey, I might need to pause and rethink about things. And I have one that I'll share with you on this. So I have 3 signs that I want to share, and I'm embarrassed because one of them, I didn't do the research beforehand. I researched it when it happened. I know there's a meaning behind it. I know it meant something to me when I did it, but I forget exactly what it is, and I'll share that in a second. But the signs that I've seen over the last few months have been pretty obvious. The first one, I wrote a blog post about it on All About Your Benjamins. I'll link to it in the show notes. But the short story was, I was walking back to Manhattan from Soho, and we was in New York City for On-Ramp. We had our ad on Times Square. It was amazing and it was awesome. But I went to go visit a friend out at Rally Road, which is a favorite company of mine. And on the way back, I was listening to my headphones. So when in New York City, I love it. I can walk New York City all day long and never get tired. But I don't know where I'm going. I don't know the city that well. The grid messes me up. Should be easy, but it messes me up. So what I do is I walk with my AirPods in, listening to music because I'm listening to music. I have nobody to talk to. But also I've got Google Maps telling me where to go. I don't want to look like a tourist. I want to look like I know what I'm doing. I'm there. I'm walking with my chest out, confident, so nobody's going to mess with me in big bad New York. And I just keep going on my way. So I'm walking back, and Google tells me to hang a left at the next stoplight. So I hang a left. Next stoplight, hang a right. So if you think about directions, I'm going parallel to where I just was going. I'm walking down the street, and then I come to some spray paint on the ground. And the spray paint says, dream until it becomes your reality. And I walk past it initially, and I don't even stop to look at it. But like I'm walking past it, I read it, I get a few steps beyond it, and then I process it. And I don't, for a second, I think I'm going to just keep on going. That's interesting. And then I stop. And I go back to the message, spray painted in pink, pictures on the blog, you can see it. And I'm sitting there in the middle of New York City, in the middle of the day, with nobody around me. There's people like in front of me and behind me, but they're way far away. So I have a moment to stop in the middle of a New York City sidewalk and stand and read this message that is telling me to continue to dream until it becomes my reality, manifestation. And I'm reading it, and I realize no one's around, and I'm like, I was supposed to see this for some reason. I don't know why. So I have my moment with it, 15, 20 seconds. It seemed longer, but I know it wasn't that long. And I get going. I get to the end of the street, to the next stoplight. Google tells me, hang a right. Hang a left at the next light. And now I'm back on the road that I was before I saw that sign. So think about this. I'm walking. Google tells me to come down this street. I see this message, and then it puts me right back on the same path I was going before. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. I'm going back, and I just realized that I was supposed to see that sign. And on top of that, how many people that day, thousands, if not millions, thousands of people walked over that sign, that message, that day, and never saw it. I don't know how many people were taken out of their way to see it, but people were walking that path, walked over it, and didn't take a moment to read it, didn't see it, it didn't speak to them. They missed that sign. I was taken off my course to see it. I almost missed it or dismissed it, went back, had a moment with it, and continued on. To this day, I still don't know exactly why I saw that sign. I immediately texted my friend Lizetta. Shout out to Lizetta. She's an amazing advisor. We had breakfast earlier that morning, and we were talking about, kind of some struggles we were having as far as career goals and where we're at and balance. And we were just talking about some things, and we talked about the universe and signs. And I immediately texted to her and said, hey, look what I just saw. I'm not sure if this is for me or maybe it's for you, but I want to share this with you. It's pretty cool. And then as I wrote about it in the blog, I said, well, maybe the reason for me to see that was just to remind me to keep what I'm doing, because I believe in this, but it's always good to have a reminder. But maybe the reason for me seeing that message was for the reader of that blog post. They needed to see that, and it came through me to them. I was the vessel. Or here I am today talking about it because I can't get this story out of my mind. Maybe I saw that to bring that to you, the listener, or you, the viewer on YouTube. I don't know why, but I saw it for a reason, and I think the reason is greater than just for me, which is why I tell everybody that story, and I'm telling it to you today. So that's sign number one. Sign number two is a bald eagle. And this is the one I'm embarrassed. I meant to read about it last night so I could give you the exact meaning behind seeing a bald eagle, and it sounds silly, but I've grown up in Indiana my whole life. And there are wild bald eagles here, and they're not too far from where I live and where I work. I've never seen a bald eagle in real life outside of the zoo, like a wild bald eagle. I've never seen one, never. And I think I tweeted about this a few months back. I'm driving on a Friday morning to go have breakfast with the boys like we always do. And I look up through the ceiling of my car, and I see a bald eagle flying just close by my house. Never seen one before. Roman saw it as well. I don't know if Silas saw it, and Leo was already at school. But I saw that bald eagle. It was the first time ever. Later that day, I'm scrolling through Twitter, doing what I do from time to time, seeing what's going on, reading and learning. And a bald eagle picture shows up in my feed. I don't know how many times that's happened before. Maybe it never has. Maybe it's just that one day. But I saw a bald eagle in the morning, and then another bald eagle showed up in my feed, and it's not coincidence that that happened. So I need to look into this. What does it mean when you see a bald eagle? And I know it was a positive sign. I think it was telling you to continue going, but it was a good thing to see a wild bald eagle. And since then, I've seen a bald eagle in the flesh twice. So I've gone from 39 years of never seeing bald eagles in the wild to seeing 3 in real life and one random one that pops up on the same day I saw the first one on Twitter within just a few months. And I know that sounds silly, but that's a sign that's just there. I didn't put that there. It's there through nature, through the universe, and it's there, and I'm seeing it for a reason. Another sign. Again, I can't remember what it was, but it was positive, and when I first read it, it meant something to me. It was meaningful. I was supposed to see that eagle. I was supposed to read about it, and it was keeping me on that path. And the third and final sign, and then I'll kind of bring this to a close. We want to keep these episodes not too long and lose you, is the number 36. And where this number came into my life is actually from, if you're watching YouTube, this logo behind me, or the logo on my hat, or the logo of Harmless Wealth, this circle. The circle has 36 lines that make it up. Now, I'm going to go back. When I rebranded the firm, I told the designer I wanted a symbol that could stand on its own. I gave her no direction, just said, hey, I want a logo that could stand on its own, think Nike swoosh, so that one day when people saw that logo, they knew it was Harmless Wealth. I would create that, but I wanted something that was strong enough to stand on its own. And she gave me a few to choose from, and the circle spoke out to me, and I don't know why. And I actually didn't even really look into how many numbers or ask her anything about it. I just said, I like that one, let's roll with it. Fast forward a little while, I decided, I'm going to count. And I remember counting a couple weeks in, and there was 36 lines. And the only thing I thought of was Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the 36 Chambers. So for a year, that was the only story I could attach to why there was 36 lines. I have a story to the circle and what that means, but I didn't know why there were 36. And there's got to be a reason. Why is it not 34? Why is it not 32? Why is it not 30, but 36? And I'm having a conversation like I do every month with my friend Derek Grant, who will inevitably show up on this podcast probably multiple times. And I'm telling him about the circle and the 36 lines, and he pauses and stops me for a second. He says, well, you realize that 36 is an angel number. And I've never heard of an angel number before. Didn't know those existed. I mean, I've known that you see numbers and people have their favorite numbers and there's reasons behind it. But I researched it. And sure enough, there's these numbers that are believed to be messages from our guardian angels, why they're called angel numbers. And 36 is one of them. 36, when you break it down, 3 and 6. You read the definition of the angel number 36. 3 refers to creative, optimistic, all these adjectives of an individual, which I see in myself. Creative, I'm optimistic, family-oriented, all these things describe me. So I'm okay, that makes sense. I see why 3 is there for me. And then when you combine that with the 6 and you make 36, 36 is a message from guardian angels telling you to focus on inner self, your family, and your passions. Not material things, not money and not material things. And I didn't know that was the meaning behind 36 for a long time. And when Derek explained that to me and I looked it up, I was kind of at this moment where I was having this struggle and this internal conversation, which I'm still having, by the way, and I will surface in this pursuit, this battle about everything that I'm doing. Should I be doing it all? And why am I doing it? And are there other things I should be doing with the time I'm spending in other places? And what I took from that was, first off, the circle was talking to me, and I learned the meaning of it when I needed to. The timing of it was perfect for me to actually reflect on all the things that I'm doing, focus on doing the things that allow me to focus on my family and myself and my passions. And if I do those things, the message coming from the angels is telling the money and the material things will work themselves out. Either you realize they don't matter as much as you once thought they were, or they will continue to grow to the level that you need them to be at, to focus on yourself, your family, your creativity, and your passions. That really spoke to me because that's where I was. So I've done a lot of reflecting over the last few months of just that, making sure that I'm not sacrificing my family and myself. And I told you early on, I have been sacrificing myself. And that's where I'm kind of working through some things to figure out, how do I make this all work, or do I need to make some changes? Then I took it to the next level, and this was actually just as of the last month. I was telling my director of operations, Darlene, about the circle and getting excited about 36 and what it means. And for the last few years, I've really focused on life planning with clients, helping them align their values with their dollars. And I was thinking of it from a mindset of let's align the dollars and then your goals to that. And I had the epiphany as I was explaining to Darlene the meaning of 36 and how it ties in and what it meant to me and kind of how I see it working for the firm, and realized that the 36 on the circle is also telling my clients and my firm to put family, self, passions at the center of the plan. Make that the center of the plan, not the numbers. We can't neglect the numbers. We can't be foolish with our dollars. We have to be responsible, smart, but it's not the dollars at the center. It's our family, it's our self, it's our passions at the center, and then we fill in around the plan with the dollars. And that's not that different than aligning values with your dollars, but it's different enough. It's putting the focus in everything that we talk about my clients, themselves, their family, and their passions. We're not putting the focus on how much money are you earning, how much can you save, what are the investments doing. We'll talk about those things, but that's not the purpose of the plan. The purpose of the plan is to make sure that what their passions are, spending time with their family, taking care of themselves, pursuing the things that they love and finding their purpose, that is why the plan exists. The money is a byproduct. The money is a complement to it that helps those things happen. And we need to make sure that we hold at the center those things from 36, and then the money and the material things will fill themselves in. And that's very, very hard, and we'll spend a lot of time talking about this because that requires a little bit of faith. It goes against everything that we're taught, but I'm seeing more and more people at levels that we deem successful that are saying the same thing. And this is where manifestation comes in and kind of learning how we control our thoughts. The book The Secret came out. It was really popular. And I think there's a lot of good in there, but I also think they sensationalized it to sell books. And if we can strip away the sensuality of it, whatever that word is, then I think we can get to the core of what it is that I'm understanding and learning, and take away the extremism of if you want to win the lottery, you just got to think about it. And we'll talk about that in another episode, winning the lottery, what that really means. So anyways, there's this logo I've had for a year. I love the logo. I made it the logo of my lifestyle brand that I'm going to build before I really fully understood what it meant. And I think that's pretty cool, pretty powerful. So now I'm telling clients the same story about the logo and making sure that we are keeping their family and their creativity and their interests and their passions at the center of the plan and building the numbers around it, and that telling them that the numbers will continue to do what they need to do if they maintain that focus. It's hard to do. It's a reshaping of thoughts. It won't be easy, and it won't be perfect because we're never going to get perfect, but it's something I really want to focus on. And I want to get more advisors to realize, to put the focus on the goals, put the focus on the values, help clients to figure out what they really, really want out of life, and then build the plan around that. Make the numbers work to that versus have the numbers and then make the values fit into that. It's a simple flip of the way that you view things, but it's very, very powerful, and it really shifts things. And it gets into frequencies and wavelengths that we'll talk about in the future. And some people will think I'm crazy talking about it, but I think once you start to see some of these things, and this is my hope from the podcast, is that you as the listener or the viewer see some of these in your own life and you follow it a little bit, and then you experience it. So me telling you, you can hear the passion, you can see the passion and the excitement. You know that this is real for me. But my experiences will never be as powerful and impactful to you than you experiencing it yourself. So my hope is through the podcast and today's conversation, you slow down a little bit, you make yourself a little bit more present, and you just see if there's any signs out there for you. And don't think it's silly to find them. And if you think there's one and it means something to you, but it means nothing to anybody else, that doesn't matter. That sign wasn't for them. That sign was for you. You could say that I'm making this big story, and I'm pulling these things in and creating this narrative to the number of 36 or to the reason I saw that sign. And maybe I am. But that is for me. Those signs were for me. And if that sign meant something to you, then that sign was for you. It was not for everybody. There's other signs for them, and some people will never get them because they're not open to it and they don't welcome this into their being. So we are 24 minutes into this now. Time to wrap it up, but I wanted to kick this off with just some of the experiences I've had in the last few months that just continue me further down this path that I'm going. Part of the reason I brought this back is because this podcast was something that I really, really enjoyed. And to be truthful, it's the one piece of content I've gotten the most positive feedback from, which means it's resonating with a few people out there. So I was thinking about myself and inner creativity and the passions that I have, and this is one of them, and I wasn't doing it. So I had to make some changes, some sacrifice to bring it back. And this podcast show will end up being part, maybe educational. It might be part therapy for me, and I hope that through me telling my stories, it resonates with you and allows you to maybe go back and recognize signs you've seen in the past, and then now you're more aware of them today. We'll have some guests telling their story as well, but there is no set agenda to this. This is a pursuit. This podcast, The Pursuit, is a pursuit. It's going to take us, and take me, it's going to take you, wherever we're supposed to go, and we're not going to block it in by saying, this is what it's going to be. Some weeks it may be 25 minutes, some weeks it may be 10, but it's coming back because it's a part of what I enjoy, and I think there's a reason I'm doing it, and I'm going to keep on following it so that I find out why I'm supposed to be doing it, and hopefully it pulls you along as well. All right, let me check my notes real quick. Okay, I hit everything. Perfect. All right, so again, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Be sure to share this. I think it will find people in ways that it's supposed to, just naturally and organically. But if you're enjoying it, I hate asking for shares. I hate asking for likes. I hate asking for comments, but that's the way these algorithms work. So if you feel so inclined, give a comment, give a like, give a share, help this podcast elevate up so more people find it. But I believe it's going to elevate up regardless. But I'm still going to ask for a little bit of help if you don't mind. So I'm excited to have the podcast back. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any subjects you want to hear about or thoughts, or you want to come on and talk about your pursuit, hit me up. I would love to have some of the listeners on to share their experiences just to further this along. So we'll see you back next Friday. Again, this video will be out on Wednesday. Shout out to my video editor, Tyler, for getting these done. Does a phenomenal job pursuing his life, might I add, by the way. He is from Canada, but he spent a good chunk of the year down in Mexico because of COVID, living his best life, pursuing the things he's passionate about, and creating some great videos for me. So I appreciate you for doing all that. Appreciate you for tuning in. Have a great week, and remember to continue on your pursuit.